3 weeks after the first battle, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberty looking at the largest space fleet ever assembled. Ships from 6 different allied species surrounded the massive Kepler station, humanity's newest and most important outpost. The station served as both a research center for the hybrid program and a military command base for the growing alliance. The promotion to Admiral had come quickly after Jake's success in organizing the multi-species defense force, Earth Command, had finally received news of the situation and sent reinforcements. But they arrived to find that Jake had already built something unprecedented in galactic history, a true alliance between humans and multiple alien civilizations. Dr. Lisa Chang approached Jake with the latest reports about the hybrid children. Her excitement was obvious despite the approaching danger. Jake, you have to see what Marcus and the other children are doing. They're developing abilities we never predicted. What kind of abilities? Jake asked while keeping his eyes on the tactical displays. Marcus can somehow sense when other hybrid children are in danger even across vast distances. Sarah's daughter seems to understand any technology she touches, regardless of which species built it. And Danny's son can manipulate electromagnetic fields with his mind. Amy Peterson looked up from her engineering station. That explains why our sensor arrays have been acting strange. The hybrid children are unconsciously affecting our electronic systems. Ben Rodriguez was coordinating with the defense fleet when his communication system lit up with urgent messages. Admiral, our scouts report the Chronari invasion fleet has entered the outer system. General Vexstar is leading them personally in his flagship. Jake turned to the main screen, which showed hundreds of red dots representing enemy ships. The Chronari fleet was 3 times larger than their own combined forces. How long until they reach us? 12 hours at their current speed, Ben calculated. But Jake, there's something strange about their formation. They're not approaching like they plan to fight a space battle. Amy enhanced the sensor readings. On the screen, Ben's right. They're arranged more like they're planning to seize the station rather than destroy it quickly. Zarathus entered the bridge carrying Marcus, who was now walking and talking despite being less than a year old. The hybrid child's development was accelerating beyond anything Lisa had predicted. General Vexstar wants to capture the station intact, she explained. He believes he can study the hybrid children to find a way to reverse the genetic changes. Lisa was horrified by this idea. He wants to experiment on the children. Worse than that, Zarathus continued. He plans to use what he learns to create a genetic weapon that would sterilize any species that is mixed with human genetics. He wants to ensure that hybrid offspring can never reproduce. Jake felt a cold anger building inside him. The Chronari were not just trying to preserve their old system of galactic government. They were planning genocide against entire civilizations, including the hybrid children. Marcus looked up at Jake with eyes that seemed far too intelligent for a child his age. Father, the other children are afraid. The bad ships want to hurt. You. The fact that Marcus could somehow sense the approaching fleet confirmed Lisa's reports about the children's developing abilities. Jake knelt down to his son's level. Don't worry, Marcus. We won't let anything happen to you or the other children. Ben's tactical board lit up with new information. Admiral, I'm getting reports from our outer sensor nets. The Chronari fleet includes some ships we haven't seen before. The energy signature suggests they have weapons specifically designed to penetrate station shielding. Amy was analyzing the enemy fleet composition. They brought siege equipment. Those large ships in the back of their formation are mobile weapons platforms built for breaking through heavy defenses. Jake studied the approaching threat and made his decision. We're not going to wait for them to reach the station. If they want to fight, we'll bring it to them. Zarathus looked surprised. You want to attack their fleet while they're still in open space. Exactly. Their siege weapons are powerful, but they're designed for attacking stationary targets. In a mobile fleet engagement, our smaller ships will have the advantage. Ben was already working on battle plans. What about the hybrid children? If we leave the station to attack the Chronari, We can't protect them. Lisa had an idea. What if we don't have to choose? The children have been showing remarkable abilities. Maybe they can help protect themselves. Jake looked at Marcus, who was listening to the adult conversation with obvious understanding. What do you mean? The hybrid children seem to be connected to each other in ways we don't understand. They might be able to work together to enhance the station's defenses while we're gone. Amy was skeptical. You want to rely on children who aren't even a year old to help defend a space station. These aren't normal children, Lisa pointed out. Marcus has the intelligence of a 10-year-old human and the instincts of a Vorthic warrior. The Nexari hybrids understand technology at an intuitive level. The Zephyrite hybrids can manipulate energy fields. Marcus tugged on Jake's uniform. We can help, Father. The station's computers want to talk to us, but the adults won't let them. Jake realized what his son meant. Amy, have you been blocking the children's access to the station systems? Of course. We can't have babies accidentally shutting down life support or opening airlocks. Remove those restrictions. Let the hybrid children interface with the station's defenses. Amy looked worried but began entering commands into her console. I'm opening limited access to non-critical systems first. If anything goes wrong, I can shut it down immediately. The results were immediate and stunning. The station's defensive systems began operating with efficiency levels that amazed the adult technicians. Energy allocation became perfectly balanced. Sensor arrays increased. Their range and accuracy and weapon targeting systems achieved precision that should have been impossible. The children are somehow optimizing our entire defensive grid, Amy reported in amazement. They're making connections between systems that we never thought to try. Ben watched his tactical displays as the station's capabilities improved in real time. Admiral, if the station can defend itself this well, we can take our entire fleet to meet the Chronari in open space. Jake made his decision. All ships prepare for departure. We're going to hit the Chronari fleet before they reach the station. Signal all allied vessels to form up for fleet engagement. As the human and alien ships moved away from Kepler Station, Jake could see the hybrid children through the station's windows. They stood together in the observation decks with their hands pressed against the walls, somehow communicating with the station's computer systems. The sight filled him with both pride and determination. The two fleets met in the empty space between planets in a battle that would be remembered for generations. The Chronari had superior numbers and heavier weapons, but they had never faced human tactical thinking, combined with alien technology and hybrid intuition. Jake commanded the Allied fleet using strategies that confused and frustrated the enemy. Human ships used hit-and-run tactics, while Vorthic vessels provided heavy assault capabilities. Nexari ships coordinated electronic warfare, while Zephyrite vessels provided long-range energy bombardment. But the real advantage came from the hybrid children back at the station. They were somehow able to coordinate the battle fleet's movements with impossible precision. Ships received targeting data and tactical updates faster than any communication system could provide. General Vexstar's flagship launched a desperate attack directly at the Liberty, trying to eliminate Jake and break the Allied coordination. The two ships engaged in close combat while the larger battle raged around them. Hull breach on Deck 7, Amy reported as Chronari weapons tore through the Liberty's armor. But the children are somehow reinforcing our structural integrity. From the station, Jake could feel it too, a sense of support and strength that seemed to come from Marcus and the other hybrid children despite the vast distance. His son and the others were using their developing abilities to help protect their parents in battle. The fight with General Vexstar's flagship ended when Zarathus led a boarding party onto the enemy ship. The Vorthic commander and her hybrid warriors proved unstoppable in close combat, combining human tactical thinking with Vorthic physical prowess. When the battle ended, nearly half the Chronari fleet had been destroyed, and the remainder was retreating. General Vexstar himself was captured alive, though he refused to surrender or negotiate. Jake returned to Kepler, stationed to find the hybrid children waiting for him in the docking bay. Marcus ran to his father with a smile that showed both human emotion and Vorthic pride. "We won, Father. The bad ships are gone." Lisa was documenting the children's role in the battle. "Jake, what they did today changes everything. These children aren't just the future of their parent species. They're the beginning of something entirely new." 3 months later, representatives from 47 different species gathered at Kepler Station for the first Galactic Parliament. Unlike the old system, where ancient civilizations ruled through tradition and military force, the new government will be based on cooperation and mutual benefit. 6 months had passed since Captain Jake Morrison made the decision that changed everything. The Liberty now served as the flagship of a small fleet that included ships from 3 different alien species. Jake stood in the observation deck of the new research station orbiting the Vorthic homeworld, watching construction crews finish the final sections. The station was built using technology from multiple civilizations. Nexari computers controlled Zephyrite crystal power cores, while Thalassin biofilters cleaned the air and water. But it was human engineering that made it all work together. Amy Peterson had spent months figuring out how to combine alien technologies that were never meant to be used together. Dr. Lisa Chong walked up beside Jake carrying a datapad with the latest medical reports. Her expression was tired but excited. "Jake, you need to see this. The first-generation children are exceeding all our projections." "How so?" Jake asked as he took the datapad. "Marcus is only 6 months old, but he's already showing signs of ENHANCED development. His muscle density is 40% higher than normal human babies, and his neural activity suggests advanced cognitive abilities." Marcus was Jake's son with Zarathis. The decision to have a child with the Vorthic commander had not been easy, but Jake felt he had to lead by example. If he was asking other humans to form partnerships with aliens, he had to be willing to do it himself. "What about the other hybrid children?" Jake asked. Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. "Sarah's daughter with Kef Morn is showing incredible technical aptitude. She can already manipulate simple machines, and she's not even walking yet. And Danny's son with Shimmering Dawn seems to be able to process light directly through his skin for energy." Sarah Kim was a volunteer engineer from Earth who had joined the project 3 months ago. Danny Wu was a biologist who had formed a partnership with one of the Zephyrite Collective. Each human-alien pairing was producing children with unique combinations of abilities. Ben Rodriguez approached them carrying his daily security report. His expression was much more serious than Lisa's. "Captain, we've got problems. Chronari scout ships have been spotted in 5 different systems over the past week. They're getting closer." Jake had been expecting this news, but it still worried him. How close? The nearest sighting was only 2 star systems away. And Jake, there's something else. "We intercepted some of their communications." "They're not just scouting anymore. General Vexstar has issued orders to locate and destroy what he calls contamination centers." Lisa looked alarmed. "He means the research stations. That's what our intelligence suggests. The Chronari have identified 3 locations where human-alien partnerships are producing hybrid children. This station, the Nexari Research Facility, and the Thalassin breeding pools." Jake thought about the implications. "How many hybrids are we talking about total?" 47 children across all 3 sites, Lisa reported, plus another 60. Pregnancies that should result in births over the next few months. Amy Peterson's voice came over the station's communication system. Captain Morrison to the command center immediately. "We have incoming ships." Jake, Lisa, and Ben hurried to the command center where Amy was coordinating with the station's defense systems. The main screen showed 6 ships approaching from the edge of the solar system. They were sleek and black with weapon arrays that glowed with threatening energy. "Are they Chronari?" Jake asked. Amy shook her head. "No, these are different. The ships match Thalassin design, but they're moving in Chronari attack formations." Zarathis entered the command center carrying baby Marcus. The child looked almost human, except for his gray-tinted skin and unusually bright eyes. Those are Thalassen ships, but they are not flying under Thalassen command. The Chronari have taken control of some of our allies. How is that possible? Ben demanded. Fear, Zarathis said simply. General Vexstar has threatened to destroy any species that continues to support the hybrid program. Some of our allies have decided that survival is more important than honor. Jake studied the approaching ships on the screen. Can we fight them? This station has defensive weapons, but we were not built for major combat, Amy reported. We might be able to hold them off for a while, but not defeat them. Lisa was thinking about the children. We need to evacuate the research areas. If those ships get through our defenses, the hybrid children will be the first targets. Where can we take them? Jake asked. Zarathis adjusted her hold on Marcus. The Vorthic have prepared hidden facilities on 3 different worlds. We can evacuate the children and continue the research in secret. Ben was already planning the defense. How long do we need to complete the evacuation? Amy checked her systems. At least 4 hours to safely move all the children and pregnant. Females. Maybe 6 hours if we want to save the research data. The attacking ships will reach us in 90 minutes, Ben calculated. We'll have to fight them to buy time for the evacuation. Jake made his decision quickly. Begin evacuation immediately. Focus on the children first, then the pregnant mothers. Then the research data. Ben, prepare all defensive systems. Amy, give me a communication channel to those ships. The next hour was frantic activity throughout the station. Human and alien personnel worked together to move the most precious cargo in the galaxy, the hybrid children, who represented hope for multiple dying civilizations. Jake watched Marcus being carried to an evacuation ship by Zarathis. The baby looked remarkably calm for someone whose life was in danger. His unusual eyes seemed to track the activity around him with intelligence that was disturbing in such a young child. Captain, I have an incoming message from the lead attack ship. Amy announced. Put it on screen. The face that appeared was not Thalassen, but clearly Chronari. The alien had pale blue skin, silver eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. Its uniform was decorated with symbols of military rank. I am Commander Zektar of the Chronari Imperial Fleet. You will surrender immediately and turn over all hybrid offspring for disposal. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your facility. Jake stepped forward. This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel Liberty. These children are under our protection. We will not surrender them. Commander? Zektar's expression became even more threatening. Humans have brought chaos to a galaxy that has known peace for centuries. Your genetic contamination ends here. The only contamination here is your fear of change, Jake replied. These children represent hope for species that are dying because of genetic stagnation. They represent the end of galactic stability. General Vexstar has ordered their elimination, and I will carry out that order. The communication ended, and the attacking ships increased their speed. Jake turned to his crew. How much longer for the evacuation? 2 more hours minimum, Lisa reported from the evacuation bay. Then we hold them for 2 hours, Ben said grimly. First exchange of weapons fire lit up the space around the research station. The station's defensive systems fired beams of concentrated energy, while the attacking ships responded with missiles and plasma bursts. The station shook as enemy fire struck its shields. Shields down to 70%, Amy reported. But we're giving as good as we get. One of their ships has lost its main weapons. Jake watched the battle through the command center windows. In the distance, he could see evacuation ships leaving the station carrying precious cargo. Each ship that escaped was a victory against those who would murder children to preserve the old order. Captain, I'm detecting more ships approaching, Amy announced. Multiple signatures coming from 3 different directions. Jake felt his heart sink. If this was Chronari reinforcements, the battle was over. But as the new ships got closer, Amy's expression changed from worry to relief. They're friendlies. Mexari and Zephyrite ships with some vessels I don't recognize. And Captain, They're broadcasting human tactical codes. The cavalry had arrived. Ships from the allied species along with human vessels that had been secretly recruited to the cause. The battle was no longer 6 ships against 1 station, but a full fleet engagement. Jake opened a communication channel to all friendly forces. This is Captain Morrison. Priority is protecting the evacuation ships. Do not let any enemy vessels reach the fleeing transports. The space battle became a complex dance of ships firing at each other while trying to protect or destroy the escaping evacuation vessels. Human tactical thinking proved its worth as allied ships used unexpected maneuvers to outfight the more traditional Chronari formations. 3 hours later, the last evacuation ship jumped to hyperspace carrying the final group of hybrid children to safety. The attacking Chronari force had been defeated with 4 ships destroyed and 2 retreating. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. Status report, he called out. Ben looked up from his weapons console. All hostile ships are either destroyed or retreating. Casualties on our side are minimal. Lisa was monitoring the evacuation reports. All children and pregnant mothers are safely away. Most of the research data was saved. The hybrid program can continue. Amy was tracking the retreating enemy ships. The surviving Chronari vessels are heading back toward their territory. They'll be reporting our capabilities to General Vexstar. Jake looked at his son Marcus, now safe aboard one of the evacuation ships according to the reports. The child represented more than just hope. 3 days later, Dr. Lisa Chang finished her genetic testing and called the senior staff to her lab. The results were displayed on multiple screens showing DNA patterns and computer models. Jake Morrison looked at the colorful charts and graphs, but needed Lisa to explain what they meant. The tests confirm what Zarthis told us, Lisa said. Human and Vorthic genetics are compatible. Not only that, but the computer models suggest that hybrid children would be stronger and healthier than either parent species. Amy Peterson studied one of the screens. What kind of stronger? Enhanced physical abilities, better immune systems, increased intelligence, and longer lifespans. The human genetic flexibility seems to repair the problems in Vorthic DNA, while the Vorthic genetic stability makes human traits more reliable. Ben Rodriguez was still worried. That sounds too good to be true. What are the risks? Lisa pointed to another screen. There are some unknowns. The hybrid children might develop abilities that neither species has. They might also have needs that we can't predict. But the computer model suggests a 93% chance of successful hybridization. Jake made his decision. We're going to their homeworld. I want to see the situation for myself before we make any commitments. The Liberty released the Vorthic ship from its tractor beam and followed it toward their solar system. The journey took 4 days, during which Jake spent hours talking with Zarthis. She taught him about Vorthic culture, and he told her about human civilization. Your people are young, but you think like warriors, she told him. Most species we have met think only of safety and comfort. But humans think of growth and challenge. This is why your genetics stayed flexible while others became rigid. The Vorthic homeworld appeared on their screens as a beautiful red planet with 3 small moons. Cities made of crystal and metal covered the surface like jewels scattered on cloth. But as they got closer, Jake could see that many of the cities were empty and dark. Once there were 1,000 great cities, Zarthis said sadly. Now only 50 have enough people to keep the lights on. The Liberty landed at a spaceport near the largest city. Jake brought Lisa and Amy with him, while Ben stayed on the ship with half the crew. The other half would explore the alien city. As guests of the Vorthic, the city was amazing and terrible at the same time. The buildings reached toward the sky like frozen waterfalls, and the streets were wide enough for aircraft to land on. But most of the buildings were empty, and weeds grew between the stones. Zarthis led them to a great hall where other aliens waited. Jake was surprised to see that not all of them were Vorthic. There were creatures he had never imagined, even in dreams. A tall insect-like being with 6 arms and compound eyes approached them. Its voice sounded like wind chimes when it spoke. I am Keth Morn of the Nexari. We have traveled far to meet the humans. Another creature that looked like it was made of living crystal floated nearby. Light moved through its body like colorful water. I am Shimmering Dawn of the Zephyrite Collective. Our people are eager to learn of your genetic gifts. A third alien looked like a person made of blue water with tiny lights swimming inside it. Its voice sounded like ocean waves. I am Flowing Tide of the Thalassian Depths. We have waited many years for hope. Lisa was fascinated by the different species, but Jake was thinking about what this meant. How many species are facing this genetic crisis? Keth Morn clicked its mandibles sadly. 17 civilizations have already become extinct in the last 1,000 years. 23 more, including our own, will be gone within 5 centuries if nothing changes. Shimmering Dawn's light grew dimmer. The old species that ruled this galaxy for millions of years are all dying together. We became too perfect for our own worlds and lost the ability to change. Jake looked around the Great Hall. And you all think humans can help save you. Flowing Tide rippled with emotion. Your genetic material has properties we have not seen. In 50,000 years of space travel, if our scientists are correct, human hybrids could restore life to our dying peoples. Zarathus stepped forward. But it must be done carefully and with honor. We are not asking humans to sacrifice themselves. We offer partnerships that benefit both our species. Amy asked a practical question. What kind of partnerships? Keth Morn gestured with 2 of its arms. The Nexari offer advanced technology. Our computers and machines are centuries ahead of human science. In exchange for genetic partnership, we would share this knowledge. Shimmering Dawn pulsed with bright colors. The Zephyrite control mineral-rich worlds throughout 7 star systems. Rare metals and energy crystals that could power human civilization for millennia. Flowing Tide made a sound like gentle rain. The Thalassians offer ocean worlds perfect for human colonies. Planets covered with clean water and rich with life. Jake was overwhelmed by these offers, but he sensed there was more to the story. This all sounds wonderful, but what aren't you telling me? There must be species that oppose this plan. The aliens looked at each other nervously. Finally, Zarathus spoke. The Chronari Empire controls the largest military force in this part of the galaxy. Their leader, General Vexstar, believes that hybrid species would upset the balance of power that has kept peace for centuries. What does that mean exactly? Lisa asked. Keth Morn explained. The galaxy has been ruled by the same species for millions of years. Each one has its place and role. The Nexari provide technology, the Zephyrite provide materials, the Thalassians provide food from their ocean farms. The system works because everyone knows their limits. But if hybrid children are stronger and smarter than pure-blood species, they might not accept those old limits, Amy realized. Shimmering Dawn's light flickered anxiously. General Vexstar fears that human-alien hybrids will become a new dominant species. He calls this genetic mixing a contamination that must be stopped. Jake felt a chill of fear. Has he made threats? The Chronari Empire has begun moving warships toward the borders of our territories, Zarathus said. They claim it is for training exercises, but our spies report they are preparing for conflict. Flowing Tide made a sound like rushing water. General Vexstar has declared that any species that makes genetic partnerships with humans will be considered enemies of galactic stability. Jake realized they were not just talking about helping dying civilizations. They were talking about starting a war. How powerful is this Chronari Empire? Very powerful, Keth Morn admitted. They have controlled the galactic peace for 10,000 years through superior military force. Their ships are fast and their weapons are deadly. Lisa looked worried. What about our ship? Can we protect ourselves if they attack us? Zarathus smiled for the first time since Jake had met her. Human military tactics are unlike anything we have seen. When you fought our ship, you used strategies that surprised us. The Chronari have never faced an enemy that thinks like humans do. That might not be enough against superior technology and numbers, Amy pointed out. Perhaps not alone, Shimmering Dawn agreed. But combined with our resources and knowledge, human tactical thinking could be very effective. Jake was beginning to understand the full scope of what they were discussing. This was not just about saving dying species. This was about reshaping the entire galactic civilization. There's something else you should know, Flowing Tide said quietly. The location of Earth is not known to most galactic species. Your homeworld has been hidden from us by distance and luck. But now that we have made contact, other species will eventually learn where humans come from. The implications hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. You're saying Earth is now in danger, Kef Morin nodded gravely. If General Vexstar decides that humans are a threat, he will not be content to just fight your ships in deep space. He will want to eliminate the source of the genetic contamination. How long do we have? Jake asked. Zarathis thought carefully. Maybe 1 year before Kronari spies discover Earth's location. Maybe less if they capture any of your people. Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. We need to warn Earth immediately. A message would take 6 months to reach Earth and 6 months for a reply, Amy calculated. By the time Earth Command could send help, the situation here would already be decided one way or another. Jake looked around at the aliens who were watching him with desperate hope. He thought about his crew on the Liberty and about the billions of humans on Earth who had no idea their lives were about to change forever. What exactly are you asking me to do? He said finally. Zarathis stepped closer. Help us create the first generation of hybrid children. Show the galaxy that genetic partnerships can work. Give our dying civilizations hope for the future. And if the Kronari Empire attacks, then we fight together. Human tactics and alien resources against those who will preserve the old ways by letting entire civilizations die. Jake Morrison realized he was no longer just a starship captain on an exploration mission. He was about to become either the savior of multiple alien civilizations or the man who started the greatest war the galaxy had ever seen. Jake Morrison could not sleep that night. He kept thinking about what Zarathis had said. Her words played in his mind over and over like a broken recording. The alien female had offered her body to save her dying people. But what did that really mean, and was it even possible? Dr. Lisa Chom had been working in the medical lab for 8 hours straight. She took blood samples from all 3 aliens and ran them through every test she could think of. The results were showing on her computer screens, but she could barely believe what she was seeing. Amy Peterson brought Lisa a cup of coffee. You look like you haven't slept in days. What are you finding out about our new friends? Lisa rubbed her tired eyes. Amy, this is incredible. Their blood is similar to ours in some ways, but different in others. The strange thing is that the differences might actually work together instead of fighting each other. What does that mean exactly? I think it means that what Zarathis said might actually be possible. Humans and Vorthic might be able to have children together. Amy nearly dropped her coffee cup. Are you serious? That sounds impossible. I know it sounds crazy, but look at these results. Lisa pointed to her computer screen. Human DNA is very flexible. We can adapt to many different environments and conditions. Most species evolved to be perfect for one type of world, but humans stayed flexible. Ben Rodriguez walked into the lab carrying his daily report. How are our prisoners doing, Doc? They're not prisoners anymore, Ben. Captain Morrison moved into regular rooms this morning. And they're doing well. Their wounds are healing faster than I expected. Ben looked at the test results on Lisa's screen, but could not understand the numbers and symbols. So what's the story? Are they telling the truth about their people dying? Lisa nodded. From what I can tell, yes. Their genetic material has become too refined over millions of years. It's like they bred themselves into a corner. Their children are getting weaker with each generation. And they think human blood can fix this problem. Not human blood exactly. Human genetic material. The flexibility that kept us alive on Earth. during ice ages and disasters might be exactly what they need. Amy set down her coffee cup. This is huge. If we can help them, we're talking about saving an entire species from extinction. Ben was less excited. Or we could be making a terrible mistake. We don't know anything about these people except what they tell us. What if this is all a lie to get us to trust them? Lisa had thought about this too. I don't think they're lying. About the genetic problem. The tests don't lie. Their DNA shows signs of serious degradation. But you're right that we don't know much about their culture or their real intentions. Jake Morrison's voice came over the ship's speakers. All senior. Staff to the meeting room. We need to talk. The three of them walked to the small room where the ship's officers held their meetings. Jake was already there with charts and pictures spread out on the table. The alien ship was visible through the room's window, still held by the Liberties. Tractor beam. I've been talking with Zarathis for the last 4 hours, Jake said. She's learned enough English to speak without the translation device. Her story is getting more detailed and more concerning. Lisa sat down across from him. Concerning how? According to her, the Vortic are not the only species facing this genetic crisis. There are dozens of other races throughout this part of the galaxy that are having the same problem. Ancient civilizations that have existed for millions of years are slowly dying out because they can't produce healthy offspring. Ben crossed his arms, and she thinks humans are the solution to everyone's problems. She thinks we might be, but there's more to it than that. She says the Vortic have been spacefaring for over 50,000 years. They've explored thousands of worlds and met hundreds of different species. But they've never found any species with genetic material as flexible as ours. Amy leaned forward. What makes our genetics so special? Lisa answered this question. We're young as a species. We've only existed for about 200,000 years, which is nothing compared to most galactic civilizations. We haven't had time to become as specialized as they are. Specialized how? Jake asked. Think about it this way. If you live in the desert for 1,000,000 years, your species becomes perfect for desert life. But then you can't survive anywhere else. Humans lived in deserts and forests and mountains and ice fields. We had to stay flexible to survive all those different places. Ben was still skeptical. So our weakness is actually our strength. Exactly. We're not the strongest or the smartest or the fastest, but we can adapt to almost anything. And that genetic flexibility might be what these dying civilizations need to survive. Jake pulled out a recording device. Listen to what Zarathis told me about her homeworld. He pressed play and Zarathis' voice filled the room. Her English was heavily accented but clear enough to understand. My world was once beautiful with millions of my people living in great cities. Now we have maybe 50,000 left, and most of them cannot have children. Our doctors say we have perhaps 100 years before the last Vortic dies. The recording continued. We have tried mixing our genetics with other species, but nothing works. Their genetic material is too rigid, too specialized. It cannot bend to work with ours. But when we scanned your ship, we detected something different in your life signs. Something that made our scientists excited for the first time in centuries. Jake, stop the recording. She says her people detected us from almost a light year away. They've been following us for weeks, trying to decide whether to make contact. Then why did they attack us? Ben asked. Because that's their culture. The Vortic respects strength above all else. They had to know if we were strong enough to be worthy partners. The attack was a test. Lisa was putting pieces together in her mind. So when we fought back and captured their ship instead of running away, we passed their tests. That's what she says. Now she's asking us to come to their homeworld to meet with their leaders and scientists. She wants us to see the situation for ourselves. Amy looked worried. That could be dangerous. We'd be going into their territory with just one ship. Zarathis says she'll guarantee our safety. In her culture, once you've proven yourself in battle, you become an honored guest. Harming us will bring great shame to her people. Ben shook his head. I don't like it, Captain. This could all be an elaborate trap. Maybe they're not dying at all. Maybe they just want to capture humans for experiments. Jake understood Ben's concerns, but he was thinking about the bigger picture. What if they're telling the truth? What if we have a chance to save not just one species, but dozens of them? Can we really just fly away and pretend this never happened? Lisa had been quiet while she thought about the medical implications. Captain, if we do this, we need to be very careful. Even if their intentions are good, mixing genetics between species we don't understand could have unexpected results. What kind of results? Jake asked. We could create hybrid children that are stronger and smarter than either parent species. Or we could create children with serious genetic defects. Or we could accidentally spread diseases between our species. There are so many unknowns. Amy had a practical question. How would this even work? Are we talking about a few volunteers or something bigger? Jake looked at each of his officers. That's what we need to find out. Zarathus says that on their world, we would meet with representatives from several different dying species. Each one would want to negotiate for human genetic material. Negotiate how? Ben asked suspiciously. She wasn't specific. But she mentioned that different species would offer different things in exchange. Advanced technology, rare minerals, weapons, star charts showing habitable worlds. The Vorthic themselves are offering military alliance and protection. Lisa was still thinking about the science. Captain, we need to run more tests before we make any decisions. I want to see if human and Vorthic genetics are really compatible. And if they are, I want to understand what kind of offspring they might produce. How long would that take? Give me 3 days. I can use computer models to simulate genetic combinations without actually creating any hybrids. Jake made his decision. Do it. We'll stay here for 3 days while you run your tests. After that, we'll decide whether to visit their homeworld. Ben was still unhappy. And if the tests show that this is all possible, then we'll have to decide what's more important, our safety or the survival of multiple civilizations. Amy asked a question that everyone was thinking. What if Earth Command finds out what we're doing? They might not approve of humans getting involved in alien politics. Jake had thought about this too. Earth is 6 months away by radio. By the time we could get new orders, whatever happens here will already be over. Sometimes captains have to make decisions without permission. Lisa was already planning her experiments. I'll need to work closely with Zarathus. She can explain Vorthic biology better than any computer scan. Is that safe? Ben asked. She's been very cooperative so far. And honestly, I think she's as curious about human genetics as I'm about hers. Jake stood up from the table. All right, we have a plan. Lisa, run your tests. Amy, make sure our ship is ready for anything. Ben, keep our weapons charged just in case. And everyone, not a word of this to the rest of the USS Liberty moved through the dark space like a metal fish swimming in an endless ocean. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge watching the stars pass by through the big window. His ship was not the biggest or the fastest in the human fleet, but it was strong and his crew was good. They had been out here for 3 months looking for new planets that humans could live on. Jake was a man who had seen many things in his 40 years. He had short brown hair that was starting to turn gray and eyes that missed nothing. His uniform was clean but worn from years of use. He liked his job because every day brought something new and dangerous. Dr. Lisa Chang sat at her station checking the medical supplies. She was the ship's doctor and also knew about alien life forms even though they had never met any real ones. Lisa was small with long black hair tied back in a neat way. She always carried a small device that could scan for diseases or injuries. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez walked around the bridge checking the weapons and shields. He was a big man with strong arms and a serious face. Ben had fought in wars on Earth before joining the space fleet. His job was to keep everyone safe when things went bad. Engineer Amy Peterson was down in the engine room making sure everything worked right. She was young with red hair and green eyes that sparkled when she fixed something difficult. Amy could make broken things work and working things work better. The Liberty had been flying for 6 days without seeing anything interesting when the sensors started beeping. Amy's voice came through the speakers from the engine room. "Captain, I'm seeing something big about 2 hours ahead of us." Jake pressed a button on his chair. "What kind of big, Amy?" "It looks like a ship, but not like any human ship I've ever seen. It's much bigger than us, and it's not moving very fast. I think it might be damaged." Lisa looked up from her station. "Should we check it out?" "If there are people on that ship, they might need help." Ben shook his head. "Or it might be a trap. We don't know who built that ship or what they want." Jake thought for a moment. The smart thing would be to fly away and report what they found. But if someone needed help, he could not just leave them to die. "Take us closer, but keep the shields up and weapons ready." The Liberty moved toward the strange ship. As they got closer, they could see it better. It was dark red like dry blood and shaped like a long knife. Parts of it were broken and leaking air into space. There were no lights except for a few small ones that blinked like dying stars. "I'm not getting any signals from them," Amy said over the speaker, "but there are life forms on that ship. At least 20 of them." "Try to talk to them," Jake ordered. Lisa pressed buttons on her station and spoke into her headset. "Unknown ship. This is the human vessel Liberty. Do you need assistance?" She waited but got no answer. She tried again using different radio frequencies, but still nothing. Ben was watching his weapon controls. "Captain, they're turning toward us." The alien ship was slow, but it was moving. As it turned, they could see more damage on its side. There were big holes in the metal and pieces floating around it. But the front of the ship looked dangerous with things that might be weapons. Are they trying to talk or trying to fight? Jake asked. His question was answered when bright red beams of light shot out from the alien ship. The beams hit the Liberty's shields and made them glow like fire. Alarms started ringing all over the ship. "Shields down to 80%, Ben called. "Out. They're shooting at us." Jake grabbed the arms of his chair as the ship shook from another hit. "Fire back, but don't try to destroy them. Just make them stop shooting." The Liberty's weapons shot blue beams back at the alien ship. The first shots missed, but the second group hit the alien ship's front section. Sparks flew out, and the alien ship's weapons stopped firing. "Their weapons are offline," Ben reported. "But they're still coming at us. They want to ram us," Jake said. "Move us away, but not too far. Amy, can you grab their ship with our tractor beam?" "I can try," Amy's voice came back. "But their ship is really big." The Liberty moved to the side as the alien ship tried to crash into them. Blue light came out from the Liberty and wrapped around the alien ship like invisible ropes. The alien ship stopped moving forward, but it kept trying to turn toward them. "I've got them," Amy said, "but I can't hold them for very long. This is using a lot of power." Jake made a quick decision. "Ben, take a team over to their ship. We need to find out who they are and what they want." Ben nodded. "How many men should I take?" 6 good ones with full armor and the strongest weapons we have." If they wanted to talk, they would have answered our radio calls. Ben left the bridge to get his team ready. Jake watched the alien ship through the window. It had stopped trying to break free, but he could see shapes moving inside it through the holes in the metal. 20 minutes later, Ben's voice came through the radio. "We're inside their ship, Captain. The air is thin, but we can breathe it. There are bodies here, but some of them are still alive." "What do they look like?" Lisa asked. She was always curious about new forms of life. "They're tall, maybe 7 feet, with gray skin and 4 arms. They wear armor that looks like it's made from metal and leather. Most of them have been hurt in whatever happened to their ship." Jake listened as Ben and his team moved through the alien ship. They found rooms full of strange machines and weapons. The aliens had been living on their damaged ship for weeks or maybe months. Captain, Ben's voice was different now, more careful. I found what looks like their leader. It's alive, but hurt. And Captain, it's female, and she's looking right at me. Can you bring her back to our ship? Jake asked. I think so. She's not fighting us anymore. Actually, none of them are fighting. It's like they're too tired or too hurt to care. Bring her and 2 others if they can walk. Lisa, get the medical bay ready for alien patients. Lisa was already moving. I'll set up the isolation rooms. We don't know if they carry diseases that could hurt us. An hour later, Ben came back with 3 aliens. The female leader was tall and strong-looking even though she was hurt. Her gray skin had dark marks on it like tattoos or scars. Her forearms were thin but looked powerful. She wore broken armor and her dark eyes looked at everything. Around her, the other 2 aliens were male and smaller than her. They walked slowly behind her like guards or servants. All 3 aliens were put in the medical bay behind force fields that will keep them safe but also keep everyone else safe from them. Jake went to the medical bay to see them. The female alien was sitting on one of the beds looking at him. When their eyes met, she started to speak in a voice that sounded like wind, blowing through rocks. Lisa worked on her translation device. After a few minutes, she looked up. I think I'm getting some of what she's saying. She's asking about our species and where we come from. The alien female stood up and walked to the force field. She put one hand against it and spoke again. This time, Lisa's device worked better. She says her name is Zarathis, and she is a commander of the Vorthic people. She wants to know if we are the ones they have been looking for. Jake stepped closer to the force field. Ask her what she means by that. Lisa spoke to her device, and alien words came out. Zarathis listened and then responded. Her voice was getting stronger, and her words came faster. Lisa's eyes got wide. Captain, she says her people are dying. Not from war or disease, but because they can't make healthy children anymore. She says they've been traveling through space looking for another species that might be able to help them. Help them how? Jake asked. Lisa talked to Zarathis again. The alien female's response made Lisa step back from the translation device. Captain, she's saying that her people need to mix their blood with another species to make their children strong again. She thinks humans might be the species they've been looking for. Jake looked at the alien female. She was staring at him with eyes that held both hope and desperation. Then she spoke again without waiting for Lisa to ask a question. Lisa translated. Slowly, she says, show mercy, human. My body will grant you powerful offspring. Captain, I think she's offering herself to save her people.